There comes a moment in everyone's life when they sit with a list of things they want to do, and yet nothing moves. The goals are clear, the dreams are real, but the action just doesn't happen. It's not because we are weak, it's because the mind is trained to choose comfort over growth. And if we don't intentionally push ourselves, life quietly passes by while we stay stuck in the same place. Today, we're going to talk about one of the biggest problems that stops people from progressing. We wait to feel like it before we start anything. Whether it's work, health, studies, or personal goals, most people are trapped by the habit of delaying. In this video, I'll show you how to force yourself to get things done even when you don't feel ready. Motivation is a powerful spark, but it rarely lasts long enough to complete the journey. One day you feel inspired, the next day you feel tired. One moment you want to conquer the world, and the next moment you don't even want to get out of bed. That's why people who depend on motivation keep restarting their goals again and again. They begin with excitement, pause with doubt, and end with regrets. But the people who consistently grow are not the ones who feel motivated every day. They are the ones who have mastered the art of showing up even without motivation. Think of a student preparing for exams. In the first week, the energy is high and the plans are ideal. But halfway through, that excitement fades. If the student waits for motivation to return, the syllabus will remain untouched. But if the student decides to show up, no matter how they feel, they develop something much stronger than motivation: discipline. Discipline is not about feeling great. Discipline is about choosing progress over comfort. It is about recognizing that your feelings are temporary, but your future depends on your actions. The mind loves ease, and it will constantly tell you to take a break, rest a little more, or do it tomorrow. But growth doesn't happen in comfort. Growth happens in discomfort. When you push yourself to work, even when you don't feel like it, you are training your mind to obey your purpose instead of your mood. And that simple shift changes everything. Imagine a person who exercises only when they feel like it. They may exercise once a week, or once a month, or maybe not at all. But someone who commits to exercising every day, no matter what, they begin to see transformation, not because they love it every day, but because they understand that discipline is a long-term investment in themselves. In life, you won't always feel inspired. You won't always feel energetic. You won't always feel ready. But if you wait for the perfect feeling, you will miss the perfect time. The truth is, you don't need to feel motivated to take action. You need to take action to create motivation. Action generates energy. Action creates clarity. Action builds confidence. When you force yourself to start, even with small steps, you unlock the momentum that motivation could never give you. That is the point where real change begins, because discipline begins exactly where motivation ends. Most people assume they lack willpower, but the truth is that they lack systems. Willpower is unreliable. It gets tired, it gets emotional, it gets distracted. But systems are steady. Systems are like silent partners that help you stay consistent even on the days when your mind is not cooperating. When you build systems around your goals, you remove the opportunity for excuses to enter. Imagine someone who wants to wake up early. If they rely only on motivation, they will wake up early only on the days when they feel inspired. But if they create a system like keeping the alarm far from the bed, sleeping early, preparing clothes beforehand, they make waking up early easier than staying asleep. The system supports the intention. It reduces resistance and increases compliance. A system is simply a structure that makes the right action the default action. For example, if you want to study consistently, don't wait for the mood to appear. Set a fixed study time. Keep your study space clean. Put your phone in another room. Break your work into blocks. The moment you step into that setup, your mind shifts into the mode of learning. You don't have to fight distractions every single time because the system takes care of most of the struggle. People fail not because they are incapable, but because they leave too many decisions to the moment. And when the moment arrives, the mind chooses the easier path. Should I study or scroll social media? Should I work out or rest a little? Should I start now or after another 10 minutes? These tiny decisions drain your discipline and open the door for excuses. When you build systems, you eliminate these choices. The decision is already made. Think of a professional athlete. They don't wake up and decide whether they feel like practicing today. Their schedule is fixed, their routine is structured, their environment is prepared, their life is designed around their goal. That's why their performance is consistent, not because they are superhuman, but because their systems are stronger than their excuses. Even in your everyday life, notice how systems shape your habits. If your kitchen is filled with junk food, you will eat junk food. If your workspace is cluttered, your mind will feel cluttered. If your room is dark and warm, you will oversleep. The environment you set is a system, and it will always push you toward a certain behavior, either helpful or harmful. To truly force yourself to get things done, you must design your life in a way that supports discipline effortlessly. It means setting routines, preparing in advance, simplifying choices, and making the right action the easiest action. When systems guide you, excuses lose their power. You don't waste energy fighting your own mind. You simply follow the path you've built. A successful life is not created by occasional bursts of effort. It is built on consistent actions supported by intelligent systems. Systems turn discipline from a struggle into a habit, and once that happens, progress becomes natural instead of stressful. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to get things done is because they attach too much emotion to the task. The moment you think about doing something difficult, your mind floods you with feelings, stress, overwhelm, boredom, fear of failure, or the desire to escape. And when emotions rise, action drops. That is why the most effective way to get things done is to remove the emotional weight from the task and break it into simple, objective action steps. The mind loves clarity. When something feels too big or too complicated, the mind labels it as dangerous, even if it's just writing an email or completing an assignment. This emotional reaction convinces you to delay, but when you break a task down into a small, clear action like open the laptop or write the first sentence or read one page, the emotional resistance disappears. Because the mind is not scared of small steps. It is only intimidated by big, undefined tasks. Imagine someone who wants to write a report. If they sit and think, I have to finish the whole report today, the weight of that thought can paralyze them. But if they switch to an emotion-free plan, first, open the document. Second, list the main points. Third, write one paragraph. Suddenly the task becomes possible. They may not finish everything in one go, but they will start. And once you start, the hardest part is already done. Breaking tasks into micro steps is not about lowering your standards. It is about reducing resistance. When emotions are removed, the mind stops fighting and starts cooperating. This is why many people clean their entire room when they only plan to clear one shelf. The moment an action begins, momentum takes over and your brain warms up to the work. A small start has the power to unlock massive progress. Consider how children learn. Nobody asks a child to write an entire essay on the first day. They are taught letters first, then words, then sentences. Life works the same way. When you break things down into simpler parts, you make success approachable. And the more approachable it feels, the more likely you are to do it. Another powerful benefit of breaking tasks into actionable steps is that it helps you stay neutral. When you focus on the step rather than the emotion, you don't judge yourself. You don't think, why am I so lazy? Why is this so hard? You simply follow the next action. This neutrality protects your mental energy, keeps you focused, and stops you from spiraling into self-doubt. If you look at high performers, athletes, entrepreneurs, or artists, they don't think about the entire mountain they must climb every day. They think about the next move, the next call, the next repetition, the next sentence. This mindset keeps the mind calm and the body active. When you break your tasks into emotion-free steps, The mind no longer controls your actions with feelings. You turn your goals into simple instructions. You replace overwhelm with clarity. And clarity naturally leads to action, because when the path is clear, the journey doesn't feel impossible anymore. Momentum is one of the most underestimated forces in personal growth. People often believe they need huge achievements to feel successful, but in reality, your life changes because of the small actions you repeat every day. These small daily wins may look insignificant in the moment, but they create a psychological shift that transforms your confidence, your discipline, and your belief in yourself. Momentum is not built in the mind first. It is built through action, consistent small action. Think of pushing a heavy car. In the beginning, it feels impossible. Every ounce of energy goes into trying to move something that doesn't want to move. But once the car starts rolling, even slightly, the effort required becomes less and less. That tiny initial movement, that first win, is what makes the entire journey easier. Life works exactly the same way. The hardest part is the beginning. Once you begin and stay consistent, the inner resistance weakens and your capacity to take action strengthens. The beauty of small daily wins is that they don't overwhelm you, yet they create steady progress. People fail because they try to change everything in one day and end up exhausted by their own expectations. But winning in life comes from doing small things so consistently that they become part of your identity. If you read 2 pages every day, you become a reader. If you exercise for 10 minutes every day, you become active. If you work on your goal every day, even for a short time, you become someone who takes action instead of making excuses. These daily wins build trust within yourself. Most people struggle not because they lack skill or knowledge, but because they don't trust their own consistency anymore. They've broken too many promises to themselves. But when you start winning in small ways, finishing a task, waking up on time, completing a simple step, your mind starts believing you again. And when you trust yourself, discipline becomes natural instead of forced. Another powerful aspect of small wins is that they help you maintain momentum even on difficult days. Life is unpredictable. Some days you will feel strong and energetic, and some days you will barely have the capacity to function. But if your system includes small, achievable actions, you can continue moving forward even on those low days. You may not make giant progress, but you don't come to a complete stop either. And that is the secret: consistency over intensity. Look at anyone successful athletes, musicians, entrepreneurs. They didn't become extraordinary by doing something huge occasionally. They became extraordinary by doing something small consistently. Their daily habits compounded over time, creating massive results. That compounding effect is what momentum truly is. The outcome of small wins stacking on top of each other. When you allow yourself to win daily, you stop waiting for motivation. You stop negotiating with your excuses. Your mind starts expecting progress, and your actions begin to align automatically. Momentum rewires you. It changes you from someone who waits to someone who moves, from someone who hesitates to someone who starts, from someone who dreams to someone who does. As you move forward from today, remember this: life doesn't change because of one big decision. It changes because of the small decisions you make every single day. You don't need to feel powerful to begin. You don't need to feel inspired to act. You simply need to take one honest step toward the person you want to become. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen a part of yourself that will serve you for the rest of your life. Every time you take action, even a small one, you prove that your future is bigger than your excuses. So start today, start now, and keep moving. Your growth is waiting on the other side of your effort, and every step you take brings you closer to the life you know you're capable of living.